Okay, welcome to my garage. I'm here working on my project Harley that I've been working on for about a year now. This is the bike. It is like a custom frame with a 240 rear tire on it. I think it's got a Ultima L Bruto. I think it's 120, maybe 127 cubic inch engine. I got this from a guy at work whose father-in-law unfortunately passed away, and he offered this to me for a pretty good price. Couldn't pass it up. Pretty sure somebody put this engine together. Pretty sure it was new heads, new jugs, new cases, maybe a used rotating assembly, because I had to unfortunately take the entire thing apart. When I got it, it wasn't as together as it is now. I actually had it completely together, and I was able to try to start it, but it wouldn't start. And I learned that the reason why it wouldn't start was my fault. I did something wrong, and I wanted to share that with you in case you run into the same problem for the same reason I had the problem, or maybe for a different reason. Well, the problem was when I went to start this bike, it had a hard time turning it over with the power of the battery, and I just assumed because it had a lot of compression or something like that, but that wasn't really the case. When I tried to start it, all of a sudden I heard a bunch of air, and I saw oil squirting out of the bottom of the engine. There's a hole right under where the camshaft is, right under here, and if you go under here, it's right, can we see it? There it is. See that hole? That hole right there had air and oil shooting out of it. That hole is linked to that hole inside there. And so it's like it had a ton of crankcase pressure. And it did have a ton of crankcase pressure. Why? Well, because when I put the bracket on here and I had the carb, I put the carb in, I did not know that these are breather holes. These are crankcase breather holes in here. And the bolts that go here are supposed to be hollow bolts that allow the breather to breathe into the air cleaner assembly and stuff like that. So I put solid bolts in there. Wah, wah, wah. I didn't know any better. And what that caused is a tremendous amount of crankcase pressure in this area here. And that pressure blew the gasket out right here, and all that oil and air pressure was going out that hole and out the bottom of the bike onto the ground. I spoke to different Harley people, and nobody could tell me why this engine would be doing that, and I had no idea why it would be doing that. So what I wound up doing is starting to take it apart. In fact, I had the entire engine out. That's what set me back a little bit, and I saw that. And then I was concerned about the internals. So I wound up taking the entire engine apart, splitting the case and everything, looking everything over just to see what kind of shape it was in. And everything looked like it was in pretty good shape. So I wound up putting the engine all back together. And this is where it's currently at. I just have to now get a new gasket for here. And I have to put this nose back on. Of course, I have to set the push rods, the valve lash and all that stuff, and then maybe I'll be able to put the oil pump back on, and maybe I'll finally be able to just finish things up and maybe get it started. And I'm hoping that it'll run well, hoping everything is okay. So if you ever have a bunch of oil and air coming out of the bottom of that, it could be for some reason you have a tremendous amount of crankcase pressure in the engine, and I'm not sure what could cause that. Maybe bad ring seal could do it. The breather ports being plugged could definitely do it. If you're like me and you didn't realize that those were supposed to be hollow bolts, and you just put solid bolts, well, that would be a really good cause for that too. So don't do that. Use the hollow bolts. Myself, I was able to just drill those bolts out that I used and made them hollow. So that's what I'm using now. But yeah, so that's my tip. If you ever have air and oil coming out, that's what's going on. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope it's helpful.
If you know about Harleys and you see all the mistakes that I made, yeah, have some grace, okay? I don't know much about Harleys. I typically work on Jap bikes, or I got a BMW that I ride, and I got a Gold Wing that I ride, another Gold Wing, and the Harleys, well, I've only had one other Harley before, but I never really worked on them much, was never very familiar with them. So anyway, show me some grace. I'm trying to learn, trying to maybe use my mistakes to help other people out. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day.